which is interesting. I mean, I think I just got to a point where I'm like, oh gosh. So I just started including, and I'm doing this now, is I'm including fasting into my life. So that's a big change. And that's actually been a good thing because it's helped me in a lot of different other ways. Besides the losing weight, I just feel better afterwards when I fast, you know? And I've done it different ways where I've not eaten the whole day, and I've also done like from dinner to dinner. So those are things that I'm putting into my life, and I've continued my swimming. I'm going from 2 days. I've been doing 2 days for the last year and a half, but not always consistent. There are big weeks where I haven't, but I would say 90% of the time I swim. Uh, the last couple of weeks I've been doing 3 days a week, and I'm trying to, that's a big change for me to do 2 to 3. I mean, for me, that's just a big change. So I'm trying to add that third day. And so, so far so good. Let's see how I want to continue that. Now, after I have surgery, I have to stay out of the water for a couple weeks, but I'm going to ask him when I could go back in the water. That'll be helpful.
You don't remember?
Remember what?
You really don't remember.
He's about to fall. He's about to fall, yeah?
Turner! Turner! This isn't the fight!
Hey there. Welcome to Pod and Deliver. Tonight we are actually reviewing a film titled Nickel Boys. This was nominated for an Academy Award. It was directed by Ramal Ross, who also wrote the screenplay with another person. It stars Ethan Harris as Elwood and Brandon Wilson as Turner. This film, Ruben, I hadn't even heard of it until recently. I was just looking it up. I go, oh, this looks interesting. And I almost didn't want to bring it up to you because it said that it was kind of tough to watch. As I was looking at some of the reviews, I go, oh, do I really want to watch a tough film? And I said, I'm going to go for it. So I didn't know what to expect. So as I'm watching it, it's right away, it's interesting because you see that's a point of view of Alwood, who's the protagonist, right? Or the kid that you're following. As a young man, as a little boy, actually, you see his life, and as he's living his life, you see the histories happening, right? The late 50s, early 60s. That's the time period we're talking about, and he's living through that period. And there's a piece where his teacher who's African American, is playing Martin Luther King Jr. speeches, and he's encouraging Alwood to go to a trade school, and so everything looking positive until Alwood goes to that school, and but he gets stopped by the police because a man who picked him up, like as he was hitchhiking, picks him up, basically stole that car that he was in, and Alwood, because he's in a stolen car, is blamed for the theft as well, and goes to this reform school, this horrible. I think it's called the Nickel Academy, right? I think it's based on the Arthur Dozier School, right in Florida. And so the school is just awful. And you see the point of view Elwood. He's an innocent guy. He didn't do anything wrong. He was going to school. He had all this. He has a grandmother who loves him. And so the angle is always through his eyes until he meets his friend Turner. And then every so often you see the perspective of Turner, right? So it's Turner and Elwood back and forth throughout the rest of the film, and mostly Elwood, of course. And so horrendous things at this school, Ruben. And there's this one piece that it's not even a beating up, or if it's not even a sexual abuse scene. It's a scene where a teacher is in the classroom teaching these kids, these African, because they segregate the inmates, as well, call them inmates because that's what it is, like a little prison, and the African American kids with the white kids, and then the poor Latino kid is who knows where he goes. But these African American kids are being taught by this teacher who is teaching them basic math, and the kids are bored out of their mind. They're not even paying attention, and it feels like that's the only time they're allowed to misbehave is in school. Because everywhere else you have to say yes sir, no sir. And so throughout this whole film, you see a lot of these abuses, but that school scene really touched me because I'm like, man, that's wrong on a different level, of course. But the abuses were terrible. And I will say this, Ruben, I thought I was going to see a lot of actual beatings or actual sexual abuse. A lot of it is like, because the angle of the camera, you don't see a lot of it, but it's kind of like that shark scene in Jaws where you don't always see the shark, but you know it's coming. And you get that feeling many times in this film where you're like, oh, I know what's happening here is not good. This abuse is not, you feel bad for these kids. And by the end of the film, I'm feeling a little beat up emotionally. And it is one of those movies that it's worth waiting till the end because there's a payoff. When I say payoff, not always positive, but just a payoff as in, okay, well, we're done with this film, and there's some resolution. And but yeah, it is tough to watch, but at the same time, it does remind you of our history of this school, which I cannot believe existed. And I guess they were pulling out exhuming dead bodies from this school, from the back of the school, that these kids were killed over the year. We're talking about this. I think the school was in existence for like 80, 90 years. And so, pretty awful stuff, Ruben. But anyway, I want to say this. I do recommend the film. I could see why it was nominated for Academy Award, even though this is like his first film. He did a couple of documentaries, I believe, but not a film like this. And so I liked it, and I thought it was well done. What were your thoughts on it, Ruben?
Wow. I thought this movie stunk. And I haven't had as miserable a time watching a movie since, oh, I don't know, last week since I saw The Brutalist, which was also bad and long. And so I did not agree that those scenes had power, most of them. I thought the acting was not very strong. You mentioned Brandon Wilson plays Turner or Taylor, but he had marbles in his mouth at times. I didn't understand what he was saying. Um, the scene where he gets pulled over, the main character, I did not feel that at all. It wasn't well done. I didn't feel the power in that. Now that this is familiar material, we've seen movie scenes like this before. You know, the African Americans getting pulled over, police abuse, but you don't even have to go far back to see it done well. I'm thinking The Hate You Give. Not that that's a perfect movie, but
Hmm.
that was a scene. That was a scene of power. This just feels boring and just poorly written. There's these, you know, sometimes there's these screenwriting cheats where they don't give you dialogue. They just kind of give you a sense of it, which is not very well done. So there's a moment where, in the movie, those are unmarked graves. Will there be a trial? And then he doesn't answer. Just pause. Next
Uh-huh.
scene. They're at the Nickel Academy, and the bully goes. He tells the bully, "I'm not afraid of you." The bully looks at him and smiles, and that's it. Where's the dialogue? It's like they do that too much, and it's I just found it you're mentioning this scene with the
Hmm.
teacher, the math teacher,
Right.
where you thought that was strong. I thought I couldn't believe so this kid's throwing a paper airplane. Wow, gee, I've never seen a student throw a paper airplane in class before. I wanted to ask the screenwriter, where did you get that idea? We've never seen it. That is so cliche. And the teachers, all of them are terrible. There's no nuance. There's no these bad the cop, the bad teacher. So there's these instructors, black and white, at the Nickel Academy or Nickel School, whatever they call it. There's no color to them. So whether they're black or white, I know there's that main guy, African American, then you
Right.
have the white teachers. They're just the same. There's no difference. They're just bad guys. Bad guys, good guys. Man, it was a slog getting through this.
Did you find it interesting though that it was both black and white though? They could have just been all white guys, the bad guy, but they didn't do that, which I thought was good.
Really? Okay, sure. Um, there's a moment where I guess I could comment on the teaching, but we've talked about this before. One of the teachers says, so somebody does something in class that was unsavory. I don't know what it was. I don't remember what it was. I don't. And then one of the students goes, he started it. And the teacher says, I don't care who started it or who's at fault or why. You're both, and that's a no-no, right? You don't want to do that. But I don't know. Um,
But wouldn't you say though the perspective of I thought that was different though. Just the camera is the perspective of of the young man Elwood throughout the whole film. and then it switches off. And I think there's a reason why they switch it off with the other boy, his friend in the reform school. But I think the whole school scene, though, Ruben, I think my point was this, though. It wasn't that, oh, we've seen the airplane before. It was that education is so much put on the side. It's not about education at that reform school. It's about everything else. Yes, sir, no, sir, do what we say, period. But we will allow you to be like a crazy person just in class, which it doesn't make sense because they can't behave that way outside of class. That's why I thought it was kind of strange.
This is familiar material though. What do we learn about any of it? What do we learn? There are much better, they showed clips of the Defiant ones. Rule of thumb, don't play something better. Don't play a clip of something way better in your movie. Like it's just gonna make you want to see that movie or series. Don't and I don't feel like I learned anything about teaching, anything about civil rights or the history. Zero. I learned nothing about the acting because the acting I thought was pretty uneven. Like there were a couple of good actors and a couple of people who shouldn't have been in there. I don't
Okay.
see what you see.
Well, no, I saw, like I shared before, I saw that because of the point of view, it was done differently. I disagree with you regarding about history. You do see they show a lot of clips of what's going on in the country, and you see that these young people are stuck in this reform school while life is going on outside, and of course that's going to happen. But some major things are happening in the civil rights movement where people like JFK is getting killed, but then his vice president becomes
You,
President Johnson, and he does
you didn't know that?
good.
You didn't know
No,
that?
no, I
You
know
didn't know
that, but I think it's a good reminder of looking at it from not my point of view, but from somebody else's point of view regarding living through it. I really felt it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I got emotional at the end of the film, and I did do a little crying there. It was a real heavy ending, and really, uh, um, it moved me. It moved me, and I'm really surprised that you didn't like it. I could see some of your points. At the same time, yeah, the acting was uneven. I thought the Elwood character, that's his first film he has ever done, but I thought he did fine. But I thought the grandmother was great and so forth. But yeah, there's not that many actors. Well, with a lot of lines in this film, except these two characters, these two friends who are trying to help each other out through this terrible time that they're in this reform school.
I feel bad. Now I'm feeling bad because I've gotten hits on these videos because I've said mean things and I don't mean to be
I don't
rude
think you're being mean. I think you
and
just have a different
insulting
opinion.
about this movie or these filmmakers. Please don't send me bad emails. I maybe was in a bad mood when I saw it. I thought it was just I didn't like it.
We have a
Sorry.
well with that we have difference of opinion, which is okay. We have that at times. I'm not. I feel like you're trying to be a little softer, but we like Ruben the way he is, and that's how I feel. But with that, I want to thank everyone who's was watching today, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Press that subscribe button, tell your friends, and we appreciate your comments. We get them different ways, emails, direct messages, online, and so forth, and we just thank you for that. We'll see you soon on Pod and Deliver. Bye bye.